Next, we are going to talk about the uterus. There are three main types of uteri that we discussed so far in lecture: the duplex, the bicornuate, and the simplex. The duplex only has two cervices, unlike the bicornuate and simplex only have one. The bicornuate, which is what we're looking at right now, has uterine horns. This one would be closer to the moderate level of uterine horn development. Bicornuates have poor to moderate uterine horn development, and simplex don't have any uterine horns at all. Beginning with this dissection of the uterus, we can see the broad ligament right here that supports the uterus. This is called the mesometrium. Next, we can go down here and see the uterine artery, and next to it, a group or section of uterine vein. The artery is much thicker with muscles because it is the tube that feeds blood up into the uterus while the vein takes blood and drains it away. That's why the artery has to have a thicker wall with more muscles. Next, up here, this junction between the two uterine horns is called the external uterine bifurcation, which is commonly used to manipulate the uterus during rectal palpation. The top of the uterus has a single layer of flattened squamous cells, which is called the serosa. This helps to prevent adhesions from occurring when there is a calf inside. This also allows for contractions and the expansion during pregnancy, and afterwards it shrinks back down. So this uterus can expand and contract after and during pregnancy. Next, we're going to go into the uterine horn. So if I take my fingers and open this up, you can see the various layers. Again, we have the serosa on the outside. Then you can see this longitudinal and these little dots, which is the circular muscular layer. This is the muscularis together, the two muscle layers, also called the myometrium. This helps with contractions to allow the sperm to move upwards and for the fetus to be expelled outward during parturition. The endometrium is this mucus layer on the inside. This is where the uterine glands are located. This produces histotroph, which is also nicknamed uterine milk. It is nutrient for the fetus. The four different functions of the uterus are a passageway for sperm cells, which is what the myometrium helps with, those muscle contractions. It produces the histotroph, which comes from the glands in the endometrium. Also supplies nutrients and eliminates waste. That is the nutrient supply of the endometrium. It helps to eliminate waste would be the myometrium. And expels fetus at parturition. Again, that is the myometrium. Those are the muscularis muscles working together to expel the fetus downward. Next, we're going to look at the caruncles of the uterus, which are these different colored, almost hills within the uterine horn. This is the site of placental attachment. When the placenta comes down and begins to settle into the uterus, the chorion is the outermost membrane of the fetus. This is actually what attaches to the caruncle. On the chorion, the cotyledon is the place where it attaches to one of these caruncles, and that attachment of the caruncle and the cotyledon is called the placentome. Further down here is where the uterine body is, where the two uterine horns come together and meet at the junction. Next, I will cut this further open and we'll talk about the cervix.